Welcome, everyone. I am thrilled to have you with us today for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to meet two dear friends who are experts in what I consider to be the most remarkable invention that I have ever discovered in my life, Lifewave patches. And we have these two remarkable guests who are going to explain why this has changed my life, changed their lives, and changed the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of people that we know, and millions of people around the world. Millions and millions of people in 100 countries right now are experiencing different lives from head to toe and from the inside out because of Lifewave patches. So let me introduce you to my first guest. And then after I introduce my second guest, I will start with the big questions. So welcome, Dr. Jon Harmon. And Dr. Harmon has been a chiropractor for 30 years. He's also board certified in EEG and Neurofeedback. He's the founder of the Clear Mind Center in Idaho. And for all these decades, he's been devoted to helping his friends, his family, and all of his patients enjoy the happiest and healthiest lives. And because he's a doctor and because he is a man of science, he is going to take on this task today of explaining to me and to all of us what is the fundamental operating principle behind the X39 stem cell restoration patch that has literally changed our lives by doing remarkable things to our health, our appearance, our brain, our body, and also why the EON anti-inflammatory patch is so remarkable too. And Jon learned about Lifewave last April, and he's been gung-ho and spectacularly successful. So that's another aspect of today's presentation, that there's a marvelous business here. So welcome, Jon and Marci Preble. Marci, you've seen before if you've watched our Zooms, and Marci is the most successful distributor in the United States in Lifewave. She is an expert in direct marketing. She knows what works. You don't have to experiment and do things this way, that way, try this, fail this. Just listen to what Marci does. It works. And I say this because I'm Susan Allan. I've been teaching sales for 40 years. And I have also been in the 90s a very successful direct marketing distributor and diamond center. And I can tell you, everything that Marci teaches us to do is easily replicated by us, duplicated by us. And now when you're going to have the explanation and the science from Dr. Jon Harmon, now this is the full picture. So welcome, welcome. Let's start with Dr. Jon Harmon. Let's see your smiling face. And then in a moment, I want to show everybody Marci's smiling face as well. And then I'll begin the questions. Hi, Jon.
Hello. And I want to thank you for that kind introduction. First off, I have been with Lifewave since April. This is my favorite subject to talk about, the GHK copper peptide, the X39 and the EON. When I first got started, I said, you know what, I need to find out more about that, that GHK. So I did an internet search and I looked around and I have a lot of details. I apologize if it's a little too geeky, but I'll try to just do the bullet points first and then go on into the detail. But I want to set the stage first. I want everybody to just think about this for a minute. There's a man named David Schmidt who founded a company 15 years ago who figured out how to be the best conservationist in the history of mankind by repurposing or recycling biophotons that our own bodies are emitting into the atmosphere around us. You think about that. as I start to explain how this works, I want you to imagine that fact right there and all of the energy that's being produced right now by the human beings, by animals on this earth, and the photons that just go out into the room around you some of those are being repurposed and reflected back into the body to cause changes. So we'll talk about that. And excuse me, I think Susan, you wanted to hear about a comparison between stem cell injections and the stem cell activation patch. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because
Okay.
this is a huge, huge area. I live in California. Marci lives in California. Stem cell research was on the ballot in California during the last election and it won. That's how prominent it has become in the conversation.
It's really a burgeoning industry worldwide. And a lot of the stem cells that are injected are extracted from the umbilical cord of recent births or extracted from your own bone marrow. It's a little painful. You can get some from cells, but however they get them, they have one thing in common, and is that they're very expensive. And I've heard up to $10,000. I heard one who went down to Mexico when they first started, and they were asking $50,000. So whatever they look like and wherever they get them, they're expensive. But they show great promise with healing things and regenerating, and for torn ligaments and tendons and regenerating organs and things. And truly, it's in its infancy right now. And so there's a lot of experimentation. They're not legal in some countries. So you have a situation where doctors have their patient's best interest at heart, and they want to give stem cell injections to them. I want to compare and contrast that after we talk about, first of all, what do stem cells do? They are the fix-it crew. They go about and they help your body regenerate things. That's the kind of well-known fact. For those of you who didn't know, that's the purpose of those. Here is the simple man, David Schmidt. He comes along and he thinks up a way to combine some organic substances. It's proprietary information. We don't know specifically. We know it's some amino acids, and some salts and some oxygen. Whatever it is, each patch forms its own crystal structure, which acts as a reflector of biophotons that our bodies are already making. So the $5 million that was spent on the X39 trying to put the right substances in that patch so that we got the right frequencies, and 38 tries, and on the 39th try, they got it right. This is why they call it the X39. So it reflects back certain frequencies or photons, far infrared, near infrared, and whatever else they were able to find that activates the GHK copper peptide. That is well known and well researched out in the literature to do a lot of wonderful things for our bodies. And if you just go to the man's website who discovered it in 1973, Lauren Picard, it's called, and just by the name, you'll know what it does. The name of his website is reverseagingwithghk.com. And he doesn't say GHK copper peptide because there's two forms. Whenever you have one, you have the other, and they kind of go in and out of being each other, GHK and GHK copper. And that has a lot of beneficial effects on the body. And I'm going to list them all in the bullet points first. Accelerated wound healing, increase of collagen, but also importantly, destruction of collagen where need be. So where would that be? That would be in the cross linkages of scar tissue, rather than being an inflexible, tender, painful spot. It has the capability of destroying those cross linkages to make it more like normal skin. Also, decreasing wrinkle depth and smoothing skin. restoring hair growth, restoring hair color, helping the brain to regulate itself. I'll talk about a study that was done. Also, huge benefits for our organs. I'll talk about a cardiovascular study that was done. It was actually a study on organs, but I'll specifically talk about the cardiovascular portion of that. Repair the GHK copper peptide. One of the biggest things it does is it reactivates our ability to make stem cells. So by the time you get to be my age, 66, we've lost over 60% of our GHK copper peptide and about the same amount or more of our ability to make stem cells. And so some of the other things that it does that I'll just name off that aren't on the bullet points, they're a little bit more complex, but it was one of 1,309 it was the top biochemical active or bioactive chemical in the Broad Institute list to fight human metastatic colon cancer. It was the top bioactive chemical in that same list, but for COPD. It actually reversed the damage in lung cells of people who had COPD. So it has anti-cancer properties. It has restorative and regenerative properties. And here's the huge one. It actually is used by our body to restore and repair 4,200 of our genes out of the 21,000 that we have. This is why so many people get changes within a very short period of time, because it has the ability and capability of restoring and repairing those genes. So if you have a gene that has been oxidized and it's not working anymore, and then all of a sudden it turns back on, whatever it wasn't able to do also turns back on. But then there's the effect that one gene has an effect on another gene, and you have to have the first one in order for the second to work. So there's this cascade of events that happens where all of a sudden all of these genes turn back on, and then we have miraculous results. So that's a little bit of the background about the GHK copper peptide. That is what the company Lifewave had to prove gets elevated in the bloodstream when you apply the X39 patch to the skin. That was the research. And they were able to show the overwhelming evidence that the patch elevates the GHK copper peptide, that the patent was quickly granted, and it was just last summer. Last summer, we got the patent for this technology of increasing your stem cells with the patch, with the X39. So let's compare and contrast stem cell injections with the application of the X39. You're going to get increase in stem cells with both. With a stem cell injection, you get billions all at once. With the Lifewave X39 patch, you get an increase all day long of your stem cells. Now, both are good, and they can be good. A lot of times, I won't say a lot of times, there are times when stem cell injections don't work. So I'm going to talk about one of the reasons. Stem cells are attracted to inflammation in our body, like a moth to a light or a flame. The inflammation attracts them, but if it's too great, it will also kill them. So if a person has an extremely inflamed, for example, knee, and you get a stem cell injection into the knee, if that inflammation is too great, a lot of those stem cells die. And this is when you get the news, well, they didn't work very well, which is unfortunate. What you don't get with a stem cell injection is an elevation in your GHK copper peptide. You get your stem cells. So I've talked to the doctors that I've helped get going with the X39 in their practices. We don't think of it as an either or. Doctors don't think of that either or. You look at it like, I'm going to include a 30-day supply of these patches for you to apply to your body to increase your own stem cells in addition to the ones we just gave you. But here's the other thing. With the application of the Aeon patch, prior to the stem cell injection, you decrease the amount of inflammation there is so that you increase the probability and possibility that at least most of those stem cells are going to stay viable.
And let me just jump in for a
Sure.
moment, because I'm older than you. The second day I had the X39 patch on, my brain started to function as it hadn't in years. Everyone else thought I was very smart, but I knew that I wasn't what I had been. And I only found out why it worked so quickly for me after you and I were talking, Jon, about anti-inflammation, about removing the inflammation in the liver, et cetera. I've been on organic anti-inflammatory products every single day since 1994. That's why. So when I invited you to be on the show, one of my goals was to have everyone understand, instead of sticking all this stuff in my mouth hour after hour every day since 1994, all I have to do now is stick on 2 patches. And before we continue, can I just bring in Marci for a moment?
Yeah, whatever.
Beautiful. Okay, great. I just want everyone to know that Marci Preble is with us, and Marci is going to explain some of the other patches. So Marci, come and say hi.
Well, hello. What a great call this has been. Oh my goodness. I am learning so much. And I have to say, Dr. Harmon, I just realized in the moment of now, you know, I had a double mastectomy a few years ago, and I have a really scarring issue that lately it's been hurting. And I know why. It's like, it's the collagen is trying to break up that scar tissue right there.
You know, we talk about these remarkable changes, and sometimes it sounds like somebody's telling me about a dream they had rather than an actual occurrence. You know, after 20 years of nursing, I had to retire because I had MS. And after 5 days on the patches, I'm doing wall squats and walking without my walker. I look at her, I know this person. She's not going to tell me a lie. Or, you know, I was bitten by a pit viper. And this is a woman, I was able to get some patches to her in Georgia. And the doctors had told her she's going to have a big necrotic hole where this snake had bitten her because of the necrosis, the cellular death. She never got one. And after a few days on the patches, she's out in her boat again. Things like that are remarkable. I was not someone who had huge shifts right away. A little bit better sleep, you know, just I called it the happiness factor. My wife and I are pretty upbeat anyway, but we both noticed it's just even lighter. But my big shifts came at 2.5 and 4.5 months. And I know Susan wanted me to mention these because my 2.5 month shift was in my gut. Brief background, I had to take a lot of, my mom had to take a lot of antibiotics when I was in the womb. So I came to Earth with gut issues. It was a lifelong battle. I remember as a kid eating something simple like watermelon and being so bloated. At one time in my life, I could eat chicken, rye crackers, and steamed vegetables in my 20s. So that was it. I was allergic to everything. Lifelong battle getting to the point where I could eat, but I had to always take digestive enzymes and some acid, some betaine hydrochloride before I would eat. That all shifted at 2.5 months. And now I just digest my food. What a thought. Then at 4.5 months, huge shifts in my heart health. I had PVCs my whole life. Those are preventricular contractions. And they're kind of annoying, but they're not dangerous. It's just that your heart seemingly stops beating for a second or two. It's boom, 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 boom. It was like that since my 20s. And they were just kind of random. They would occur and they weren't rhythmic or anything like that. I could go out and run 10 miles. My heart was great. but at rest is when those things would happen. So I'd been using the X39 and I put it right on my heart, right over where I was feeling those. And that was, I'd been doing that for about 4 months. And then there was this weird shift. The PVCs became rhythmic every fifth beat, every fifth beat, every fifth beat. And I had a knee replacement surgery coming up that had been scheduled before I even heard about X39. It was bone on bone. So that's the time when you need it, when you don't have any cartilage left. So I was worried about my heart. So I was scheduled an appointment with a cardiologist. He scheduled an echo EKG, echocardiogram, stress EKG. I had it done. And for those of you who've come to our training Zooms, we have talked about a principle or a function in the body called apoptosis. Apoptosis, it's programmed cellular death. Your body targets for destruction 50 to 70 billion cells a day because they're old, they're worn out. Everybody on this call, there's not one cell in your body that will be the same one a year from now, except your nerves. They don't die. Every other cell in your liver, in your skin, in your bones will be replaced. But how does it do it? The body recognizes dying or sick or dysfunctional cells and targets them for destruction. So keep that in mind when I tell you this next paragraph. So we do the stress EKG. The cardiologist comes in, he says, you know what, your heart was remarkable. Under stress, it did really well. If we tell people, if you can make it 10 minutes, elevating it and increasing the speed every 2 minutes, you have a 0 chance of having a heart attack ever. He said, you made it 13 minutes. And he said, you just have these PVCs and a right bundle branch block. And I said, how does that happen? And he said, well, we get these apoptotic cells and you didn't replace them fast enough. And I went, the light came on. And I said, the X39 was causing them to regrow and they didn't know how to do it yet. And they were doing it every fifth beat. Is this how we do it? Is this how we do it? No, that's not really how we do it. A week later, gone. Everything back to normal. It was, first of all, very exciting for me because I had those my whole life, and very annoying, causing me to wake up in the night gasping for air because, if your heart stops every fifth beat for a second or two, you lose a little bit of oxygen. And Susan had asked me to explain that, how that happened. And there are a lot of other people who have, heart health issues. But let me tell you about that study that was done on organ. This leads me to this whole point of organ function. And the two big things that are just good enough for me, if this is the only thing the X39 did was these next two things, I would be good with it. But there's a lot more. So they did this study. They did all kinds of energetic measurements on the body, the cells, the tissues, and then got a baseline. And then they had people use the X39 for 6 weeks. When the results came back, the age of the average age of each participant of their cardiovascular system reversed by 2 months. So they had it on for 6 weeks. It reversed by 2 months. So that means for every day you wear that patch, the cardiovascular system is going to reverse in age by a day and a third. So what could that help? Just everything. If you get better oxygenation of all your tissues and better hauling away of the waste products, everything changes. Here's the next one, a 6-week study on brains. They actually did EEGs, quantitative EEGs. That happens to be my wheelhouse. That's what we do in my office. So we measure the electrical activity in brains, and then we look where there's dysregulation or where things are not working right. It's not much different than when you get in your car. If you start the engine and all of a sudden it's going 6,500 RPMs, that ain't right. Something's going to happen. Something's going to give. And then they put that little plug underneath the hood and they say something, this is running too rich or whatever. So that's what the brain map does. So this is what they did for these people. They did the brain map, then had them use the X39. And every one of them had improvements, some of them really big improvements in what's called the coherence. What is coherence? Coherence, you shouldn't have like a lot of activity on one side compared to the other or front to back. And your right and left hemisphere should be talking to each other really well, not have these isolated areas of activity with not much talking back and forth, front and back, side to side. So when you have better coherence, your brain works much better. Memory improves, everything improves, attention improves, your ability for the different functions on the sides of the brain to work improves. So you are better able when we get older to remember who you are and remember who your partner is, and to have a sharp brain as we age. So you got the cardiovascular system and the brain. Those two things I said were good enough. But when you add increase in your stem cells, that opens up, that's like a quantum benefit right there, to be able to go around and fix the things that you're having trouble with. So go back to my setting the stage, repurposing your own photons to be reflected back into your body to signal your body. It's a photonic energetic signal that they figured out turns different pathways on or off. Going to the EON patch, Susan mentioned that. The EON patch, actually, the signal that's reflected back into your body from that patch signals to your liver to make more of a substance. You don't need to remember this, is called phenylacetylglutamine. That's a natural substance that your liver produces. It's not an antioxidant, but it induces a lot of antioxidant and anti-inflammatory functions in your body. It increases a substance called superoxide dismutase, which is SOD. It's a huge antioxidant. It decreases things like C-reactive protein and inflammatory cytokines. Those things have a huge effect on inflammation. Most diseases are caused by chronic exposure to inflammation from something.
And as I said, I'm the living proof of why the EON patch is so crucial, because I've been taking organic SOD every day, multiple times a day since 1994, and now I don't need to anymore.
Right. So how much money does that save you every month? I look at the X39 and the EON as I'm saving money. Because you don't have to take those supplements. Your body, the patch actually signals your body to make more of those things naturally. And so move to glutathione. You asked me to mention some of the other patches. Glutathione is not well known, and you know why it's not? Because they couldn't make a supplement that would make it past the acid in the stomach. Otherwise, everybody would have known, because it's so important. Glutathione is made by every cell in our body. That's how important it is. And the level in your cells, the higher level the glutathione, the longer your life. It's directly related to your lifespan, the amount of glutathione you have in your cells. So they have supplements now that are slightly tweaked, or it's a precursor to glutathione. It makes it past the acid in the stomach, and they have, microencapsulated lipospheric type stuff. But that's still something from the outside, and that only raises your glutathione level 10 to 20%. The study that was done with the glutathione, it raises the glutathione level on average 300% within 24 hours.
Wow.
So who wants to wear that every day? Yeah, that's directly related to your lifespan. What does it do? It's your master immune switch. It's very protective of lung tissue. How important is that right now in the day of COVID? So protective of lung tissue, doctors actually put glutathione in nebulizers and have people who have lung problems inhale it. That's how beneficial it is for healing lung tissue.
And I can tell you that I suffered from asthma and horrendous food allergies, as you described, John, and all sorts of inhalant allergies my entire life until I was in my 50s. I had a miraculous cure, but still, when I swim all these 66 laps a day, it wasn't until about a month after putting on the X39 and the Eon that I noticed that my lungs were healed. I didn't have to stop after a certain amount of laps and gasp for extra breath. That's what you were describing, John, when you talked about waking up in the middle of the night.
Right.
That you missed out some oxygen and then you were gasping. Well, you know, I was just thrilled that I was able to swim. I wasn't complaining. And yet, because of Lifewave, you know, just true miracles. And Marci, I know you've had amazing miracles as well. Would you tell us a few of them?
Well, you know, I'm really amazed at glutathione. And once again, I knew it worked, but I didn't know why. And that in 24 hours, it went up 300%. What I think is super interesting is that, as Dr. Harmon explains, it is elevating different pathways in our body through, he's more doctorish, but through basically a light wave or light, right? And by doing that, I think it's interesting because a supplement like glutathione gets destroyed in the gut, right? But this is very fast through light activation. And so what I noticed with glutathione for me, I started wearing that maybe 6 months ago. And after the chemo, I've had bacterial issues and colon issues. And I have just found that the glutathione has just stabilized that whole gut issue. You know, I would say I had gut issues maybe all the time, and now I'm like 80% back to normal. And yeah, you know, I often say, and probably you and Dr. Harmon know this, if you have a hard time with bowel movements and with urination, like, it's really no way to live. So this is much better.
And tell them about your UTI miracle too, please.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, you know, after the chemo, and Dr. Harmon was talking about that with his own colon and allergies. My flora got all messed up in my body. My body could not control the bad bacteria in my body, and that caused these chronic urinary tract infections, bladder infections, and also issues, you know, trying to solve that with like an antibiotic then would give me all this yeast in the colon. And so then all of a sudden I had issues with, you know, with bowel movements. And so then I couldn't, I became toxic, right? Because if you can't eliminate, you become toxic. And so it's this horrible cycle, as some of you know. And once I started the X39, I added Eon, and then I added glutathione. And it was that 3-patch combination that really just got me from not so good to 80% better. And I think it's really interesting that those are what I just intuitively went for. But now hearing what Dr. Harmon has said about all three, I now fully understand why they've worked so well. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Now I know we have about a little bit over 18 minutes. So back to you, Dr. Harmon.
Okay. I can go on all day about this stuff. So you've asked about several different patches, and I thought I would talk about the Alavita patch, because it's kind of known for smoothing skin and decreasing wrinkle depth as well. But the real thing that, one of the things, the really beneficial things it does, I'm trying to say, is that it actually helps reset the pineal gland, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. The pineal gland is what makes melatonin and other things, and it's very important. It's very important, or it's a very important organ in our body. Most cultures that have discovered meditation, it's all about the pineal gland and meditating. The pituitary gland makes and secretes hormones. And so if you have someone, and I'm not making any diagnoses or, prescriptions or anything, if you have anyone who has metabolic issues or endocrine issues, always include that in their protocol to help with that. Here's the other thing, and David Schmidt said this. He's the inventor of the patches. The patches. For people who don't get the real benefit or big change in their sleep by using the Silent Night patch, use an Eon patch and the Alavita patch together for sleep. The Silent Night patch worked for me for a while, but for some reason it wasn't working as well. And when I heard that and I used that, it was like, as soon as I laid my head down I actually put them on my pillow by my neck. Some of the patches we wear during the day, some at night, you wear them for 12 hours and then you take them off for 12. And there's a very good reason for this. It has to do with the phenomenon called attenuation. And that is anything that the body's exposed to over a longer period of time, it starts to get used to it and accommodate to it. It's like, I compare it to someone who goes to the gym, and we've probably all seen these people, they go and they do cardio for 2 hours and they never lose weight and they don't change their physical stamina. They don't change their body shape at all because their body got used to it. You have to change it up and do it really, really fast and then do it slow. So this is kind of, you put these on for 12 hours, take them off for 12, because you'll get a diminishing amount of effect beyond 12 hours. And then wear the ones we wear at night. You wear those for 12 hours as well, and then take them off. Susan, would you like me to go through the other patches or more information about any specific one?
Well, I think what we want first is we want Marci to say a few more words, and then
Okay.
thank you so much for asking, John. And then I also want to say before Marci, you begin, that it's really important to understand that if this is new for you, talk to the person who invited you to the Zoom call. They will explain how you can become a distributor, or if you wish, you can become a customer. So it's a really important thing for everybody to hear. Now, if I invited you, or Marci invited you, or John invited you, or Carol Lazar invited you, then by all means, speak to us. And that's the way direct marketing works. It's friends helping friends. And each of us is devoted to this principle. It works beautifully. So my friend Marci, please.
Well, I'm just having so much fun today hearing the science of each individual patch and just thinking, now that's why that's been happening. And I have another wow, that's why. And it's just really interesting. And so obviously, when I had stage 3 breast cancer, it pushed me early into menopause. And then I had an estrogen based. And so for a year, I was taking an or an estrogen blocker. Need say, I got the worst hot flashes and I was really dry. I'm just going to tell you what it's like. And it wasn't any fun. And I started wearing the X39 and I was getting better and better. And then someone said, use the Alavita for your skin, which I did. I wear one every night right here and my skin is so soft. But literally all the dryness is gone now. Like that X39 with the Alavita is like, it works. And it was really funny, Dr. Harmon, because I was talking to a woman the other day and we were having a conversation about this. And she goes, do you know what's the right one for hormone balance? And I said, I'm not 100% sure, but once I started the Alavita, this is what's been going on. So I actually told her, go do some research on it and tell me if I'm right. And literally, you just did it for us. So I hope she's listening today. I'm going to have to send her the video because yes, that is so true. And I would love, if it's okay, to understand a little more about carnosine. So my favorite patches personally to wear are the X39, that first stem cell activation, the Eon for inflammation, the glutathione for detox, the Alavita, which I knew was for skin, but now I understand too for hormones, And then I've been wearing the carnosine just because it feels good. But doctor, I don't 100% understand how that one works. So for me, I would love to know that patch because it feels special.
Yeah, it does. And the carnosine was one of the patches that the USC swim team won all those Olympic medals. The swimmers from the USC swim team, Coach Quick, they used the energy enhancers and the carnosine. So look at carnosine. Well, let me rewind a little bit. Athletes take carnosine, the substance, for athletic enhancement and muscle building. So if you think of your body making more carnosine, it's going to be really good for your musculoskeletal system. But here's the other thing. Carnosine is stored in the brain, the heart, and the muscles. And carnosine patch, the carnosine patch, is critical in helping your body remove proteins that build up in the brain. So anybody with cognitive issues needs to be using the carnosine patch. So athletic, muscle, brain,
Right. And heart.
and heart. Yeah, you need carnosine for your heart too. So think about that. We have it looks like the same patch, but the substances in that patch are different in each one of the patches, and each reflects back a different frequency from the photons we're already making, but they figured out which ones to reflect back that act as a photonic signal for your body to make something different.
And
So,
Jon, I have, and not to specify who, but I have been asked by a number of different men who are in their mid 60s and older,
I have
what
this
you recommend for sexual thrills for themselves and their partner, so that they stay as young sexually and functional sexually as they possibly can with Lifewave.
I have not heard any specific news about that. But
Yet.
if you look at the first, the X39, you look at that. What does that do? It helps restore function. You know, you repair things, but number one, we know if somebody has cardiovascular issues, it shows up as what? Erectile dysfunction.
Exactly.
Because it's cardiovascular. It's part of that whole thing. So X39 reverses the age of the cardiovascular system by 1 1/3 days for every day you wear the patch. But then you also look at, why do I have cardiovascular issues? What have I been doing my whole life? What have I been eating? What's eating me to cause inflammation and, you know, disease? We all fight the battle between toxins, toxic buildup, and pathogens. Pathogens are things that are eating us, viruses, bacteria, parasites, fungus. It almost always starts with those, and getting rid of both of those is essential, even with the X39. Think about this. If you have so many toxins in your body, just think about glyphosate. That's Roundup. Glyphosate downregulates over 200 enzymes in our body. So what does that mean? It downregulates, meaning they don't work very well. So you think about that, and you think about mitochondrial dysfunction because you have chronic Epstein-Barr virus, because you have parasites, and now you're asking the body to do something, make new stem cells. Well, sorry, I didn't have enough energy just to function, and now you're making me make something new. These are the people who don't respond well right away to X39, or that it's so bad they don't even have enough energy coming from their mitochondria to detox. So now these people may within hours get a rash or something. I don't want to alarm you about that. It's not a side effect of the patch. it's a side effect of being very unhealthy.
And can I say that I use 9 patches in a 24-hour period? 9 different patches.
I'm about the same.
And
I have something to say about sexual function, because I don't think we answered that quite right. So I'm just going to give it a stab as a woman, if that's okay. So I'm thinking blood flow, 4 patches that I would recommend is, okay, you ready for this? Dr. Harmon, tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. I could be wrong,
I'm ready.
but let's just see. I would do it. If I was a man, I would do X39, because young stem cells on old tissue turn the tissue young again. Okay, I do EON because that would reduce inflammation. And when you reduce inflammation, your blood's going to flow better. I would do carnosine because when your heart's pumping better, you're going to flow better and your muscular skeleton structure is going to be stronger. And I think I would do Alavita because if it's balancing hormones in women, my guess it would be balancing the testosterone in men. What do you think?
I think you're right. I was going there, but I got I did a little
you got sidetracked on toxins. I'm like, bring me back to function.
Bring me back to the spice, man.
Bring me back from toxins to the spice. I'm sorry. Now we're having way too much fun. But and I only say that, doctor, because I've been listening to what you said about each and every patch. And I just kind of put it together based on what you've been talking about.
And what I think is really valuable, Marci, about what you just said, because you're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Right. And yet this is very easy for us to understand. It's easy for anybody watching to understand. Do you have to do a little studying? Well, I did. And I know, Marci, you did as well. Do you have to ask your friend who told you about the products? Yes. And I know I speak to people all day long, and Marci, you speak to people all day and all night long. So, and of course, Jon, you have patients coming and going, every day. So it is easy to learn. It is worth learning. And the beauty of this is there are no negative side effects. This is non-toxic. It is not a drug. It's not a medicine of any kind. It's non-transdermal, which means it doesn't even go into your skin. And it's not even a stimulant. So this is remarkable. And yet your body and my body, and I'm one of the oldest people on the phone call. I'm one of the oldest people, I think, using the products. No, I'm not 90, but still. I would really look great if I were 90. But yes, moving there. The important point is that every single day, parts of my body are different because of the Lifewave patches than they were days, weeks, or months ago. I forgot to use the Silent Nights patch one night, and I still slept through the night, even though before Lifewave, I was on massive amounts of melatonin. But now my body is healthier. It appears to be producing enough of its own melatonin. I slept through the night. I couldn't sleep through the night with tons of melatonin supplements before I started using Lifewave. This is one of 1,000 examples I could give you from my own life just since July. And when we talk about elimination of excruciating pain, call me, text me, email me. I'm easy to find all over the internet. So this is so important. And I think we just have a few more minutes to wrap it up. So maybe, Jon, if you'd like to say a few more things.
Yeah, I'd like to make sure that, to kind of caution people and make sure that you tell people that you're not being specific to any one disorder. We know what the patches do, and we can state that they've helped other people, and we can let them listen or watch a little testimonial. But you can't, you don't want to get involved in being specific for any one disorder with your friends unless you are a doctor. And even though I said some things on here about different things, I'm not diagnosing and we're not prescribing, but short of that, you can really help your friends, your family, your town, your state. You think about what we're doing worldwide. We're in 100 countries. And I've always stated my goal in my practice that I stayed focused on, no matter what it was I was doing, I'm trying to help someone live out their life's fullest expression. We all genetically come with certain things. Some of us have a handicap. We have different things, some of us in a wheelchair, but whatever that person's situation is, with these patches, you can help that life, whatever they have, be better and help them live out their life's fullest expression. How are you going to do that if your brain's not working? How are you going to do that if your heart is having trouble? How can anybody do that? They can't be the best they can be. And that has always been my goal, help people just be the best they can be. And if you stay focused on that, helping people, your business is going to grow so fast with the most wonderful people. I mean, the people who are attracted to this business are people who love to help other people be better people. And I think that's universal with everybody I've met here. I just want to thank everybody for having me on here today. Thank you for having me, Susan. It's always great to have Marci as a co-host as well. And I love talking about it. If you ever want to, call me or have me on again, I'd love to do it.
We will have you on again, absolutely. And Marci, if you would say a few words.
Well, I just want to say just how fun and informative this was today. I really enjoyed the format today. And, I would just say if you have questions or you want more information, we do have a site. You can go to startx39.com. There's a great video on what Dr. Harmon talks about with how the light works and how stem cell activation works. If you really like those, then go down to the 18-minute science where David Schmidt, our owner, inventor, and CEO, talks about the X39, the technology, and then the issues it helps with. And then there's just so many testimonials there. And you can also click the research and patents. There's a tab right there where you can look at all the research and the patents that Dr. Harmon was talking about today. And if you would like to order, then get with the person who brought you here and just let them know, hey, I'd like to order a sleeve retail, and that's $150 for X39, and that comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee on initial order. Or you can become a preferred customer and ship every month for about $119. Or you can come on and join us with wholesale distributor pricing, anywhere from $124 for one sleeve all the way up to $1,600 for 19 sleeves. A lot of folks start with the silver pack, which is 3 sleeves of X39, and they have enough for themselves and their families. So get with the person who brought you here.
Much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I know we're very tight on our schedule, so
No
I
problem.
want to just say goodbye to everyone. But first of all, we're here once a month, the second Thursday of every month, 1 o'clock in California, 4 o'clock on the East Coast. These shows are always added to my YouTube channel in about a week. That's youtube.com, Susan Allan 2001. Please remember it's ALLAN. And if you subscribe, as many as you have, then you find out every time when the new show is added. And then please email any of the 3 of us or the person who told you about Lifewave so you get in all the information you need. Most importantly, I'm going to transcribe the notes of what Jon said today. If you want these notes in writing, you have to get in touch with me.
Susan?
And it's an honor.
One correction. It was the Stanford swim team, not the USC. Thank you.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Wonderful to have each and every one of you. We are so grateful. I know I speak for Dr. Jon Harmon. I speak for Marci Preble. I speak for all of us in this wonderful Lifewave group. We send you lots of love. Have a great, great day.